Today we'll discuss with the MCQs related to the conservative dentistry and endodontics with its answers and explanations. So, which of the following microorganisms have been associated with the active progression of the caries? That would be the answer of various answers such as the Streptococcus mutans or the Streptococcus ferrus or the Lactobacillus or the Streptococcus rattus. That the mutant Streptococcus is the optimal choice because it is strongly associated with the onset of the caries or the incipient caries or the reversible caries. And the lactobacilli is associated with the active progression of the cavitated lesions or the irreversible caries. Whereas the Actinomyces vicious is most likely the organisms to initiate the root caries. So among these options, the mutant Streptococcus is optimal choice. Next, the fluoride bombs is related to a fluoride with high ppm of fluoride varnish. Yeah, it may be, but not. It's not like a bomb. Okay, or a hypoplastic lesion on the teeth seen in the fluorosis teeth. No, it doesn't cause like a bomb. Answer. Undiagnosed hidden caries, because why it is called undiagnosed hidden caries as a fluoride bombs, as a bombs are hidden, and they can until and unless they are shooted, they'll not explode, just like that. The occult caries are used to describe such lesions which are not clinically diagnosed but detected only on the radiographs, and these occult lesions are seen with a low caries rate, which is suggestive of the increased fluoride exposure. So this increased fluoride exposure encourages the remineralization and slows down the progression of the caries in pit and fissure enamel. And still the cavitation will be continuing in the dentin, which may be relatively masked by the intact enamel crystals. So that's the reason these are known as the fluoride bombs or the fluoride syndrome. Next, we'll see the other questions such as first histopathological changes in the enamel caries causes is. So if you see the histopathological zones of the enamel caries, we have the translucent zone, dark zone, body of the lesion, and the surface zone. So in these four zones, what happens is that there would be loss of these interprismatic and substances. There would be loss of these interprismatic substances, which is the first sign of the uh, enamel caries lesion. Okay, there's a reason this would be an optimal choice for this question. Next question we'll discuss is that the mask with high filtration are. Okay. We have various varieties of different types of mask. Now we have the cloth, plastic, something. But in that, which shape we are asking about? That may be the rectangular shape or the dome shape. Uh, if you see in both, when we compare these both, the rectangular is more appropriate because these rectangular have various varieties of edges of which helps in which helps to protect against the HBV and HIV infections, and also they protect against these aerosols, whereas the edges of this rectangular mask can be pressed close to the around the bridge of the nose and the face. That's the reason, the main reason to protect us from this any virus is to protect the aerosols from the nose. So this rectangular mask helps in pressing against this bridge of the nose so that it will protect the nose from other various viruses. Okay. And propanthelin bromide used to control the saliva is contraindications in patients with, that is the suffering from the glaucoma, yes, and the suffering from the prostate gland, prostate obstruction, yes, or the suffering from the pyloric obstruction. Yes, all the three are correct. So the answer would be all the above. So the use of these drugs in the restorative dentistry to control the salivation is rarely indicated. So generally it's limited to the atropine. But it is also important to remember that atropine is contraindicated in the nursing mothers and also patients with the glaucoma. So you should choose the drug appropriately to control the saliva. Okay. Next question we'll discuss is that the instrument used for the gingival retraction during rubber placement is. That is, we have various retainers in that. Number 212, cervical retainer is used as a both the clamp as well as a gingival retraction during the class 5 tooth preparations. This is the anterior clamp, whereas it may be winged or wingless. So if you have the winged in both the anterior as well as lateral wings, then these wings are used to provide the extra retraction of the rubber dam during the operating field. So one of the disadvantage for this winged is that it may interfere with the placement of the matrix bands, band retainers, or with the wedges. You should be careful while placing it. Next question is that the best method to patch the leaking rubber dam. It may be the application of calcium hydroxide, varnish, and suturing are the bad choices for rubber dam. We cannot suture rubber dam. We cannot apply varnish. So the appropriate answer among these options is the application of the calcium hydroxide. So the patching of leaking rubber dam can be done with a calcium hydroxide that prevents the leakage from the dam. Okay. Next question is the transverse section of the class 5 through the axial wall is which shape it is. Either it is a convex, concave, or the kidney shaped or the straight. If you see there's a class 5 cavity, in this it will follow the mesiodistal and the incisor-gingival contours of the facial surface of the tooth are usually convex in both the directions. Otherwise, it will lead to the loss of the retention of the restoration. Okay. Next we'll discuss is that the function of the proximal grooves in the class 2 cavity is what it will provide. Okay, it provides a resistance form. Yes. It will provide the retention form. Yes. Oh, it will increase the strength. Not so appropriate, but to some extent. So the retention form will also enhance the resistance form. The retention logs, grooves, sleeves, slots, pins, and the groove extensions and skirts helps in both retention as well as resistance form. So the appropriate answer is the retention as well as the resistance form. So the dentin protection during the cavity preparation is most important when the remaining dentin thickness is. If you see in that, it is related to the remaining dentin thickness, how much of the amount of dentin which is present after the cavity preparation. In case of the deeper cavity, 0.5 to 1 mm of remaining dentin thickness is present, then the calcium hydroxide liner should be placed. If it is in the moderate cavity, 1 to 1.5 mm ZOE liner has to be placed. Whereas in the shallow cavities, 1.5 to 2 mm of only varnish has to be placed. Next question we'll see is that which of the following cement is most irritant to the pulpary tissue? Among this, zinc phosphate, no, it is a thermal insulator. GIC, no, it is very good biocompatibility property. Among the zinc phosphate and polycarboxylate is more biocompatible. So the answer would be the silicate cement because it's a pH which is less than 3 at the time of insertion, and it remains below 7 even after 1 month. So the higher solubility in the oral cavity is also another disadvantage of the silica cement. So among this, the silicate is a more appropriate answer. The main purpose of using the high speeds is they decrease the heat production. No, it will increase. To increase the cutting efficiency, it increases the cutting efficiency, but it is not the main purpose. And to decrease the percentage of vibrations or to decrease the pulpal damage. If you have an good cool water coolant, then the pulpal damage is also less. But the main purpose is to decrease the vibrations. The vibrations above 300 RPM are practically imperceptible to the patient. Thus, the vibrational sensations is lost at ultra high speed range of 1 lakh RPM or above. So increasing the speed will also increase the heat production, as I said. Next question we'll discuss is that the ideal amount of the dentin required between the amalgam restorations and the pulp for the insulations. So among this, 0.5, 1, 2, and 3. So I feel this 0.2 mm is correct because amalgam being the poor thermal insulator, this is why the base of either the calcium hydroxide or the ZOE has to be placed under the amalgam restorations. That's the 2 mm of ideal dentin has to be should be preserved to protect the amalgam from the pulpal injury. Okay. Sorry, that is to protect the pulp from the amalgam injury. Next is that the average mercury content in well condensed amalgam should not exceed. That is the 50%, because if it is greater than 50%, it will lead to the marginal fracture or the surface deterioration of the amalgam. So it should be less than 50%. Next is that the clinical condition shown in this arrow is, what is this clinical condition? It is little bit of bluish discoloration placed on from the amalgam. Okay. It is a focal pigmentation in the oral mucosa is amalgam tattoo, which is a consequence of the deposition of the amalgam into the submucosal tissue. So it is an amalgam tattoo. Next question is that the streptococcus mutans are, yeah, acidogenic. They are acidogenic because they produce the acid, which will lead to the initiation and the progression of the caries. So it is karyogenic and acidogenic because it produces acid and the karyogenic. So we are not going into the second, third option because the first only we got the option here. Next question is that the term stepping is associated with root canal preparation. No. Direct gold condensation. Yes, because it is one of the technique or the process where the pure gold condensation occurs. So if you read about the pure gold condensation, this without thinking, you would go for the second option, where here each time the condenser will overlap with one another of the previous compaction from the center to the periphery. That's how, regardless of the techniques, it will prevent some of the avoid spaces between them occurring. So the stepping is one of them associated with the direct gold condensation. Okay. So the Cabot surface angle of the inlay cavity preparation is. To read what is an inlay cavity preparation's Cabot surface angle is that it is a junction of the wall of the cavity preparation to that of external surface of the tooth, which is around 140 to 150 degrees. So you should know the inlay cavity preparation to answer this, that is around 150 degrees centigrade. Next, we'll see the which property of the filled resin is primarily to blame for the failure of the composite restoration. So you have to read the question twice. Failure. Oh, so to not confuse, the filled resin will have always the lower compressive strength and the higher flexural strength, tensile strength. So that's the reason the higher filler particles causes the decreased fluidity. Okay. As compared to the UV light, visible light can cure. See, if you observe in the picture also, the visible light is penetrating more when compared to the UV light because of its longer wavelength. It has a wavelength of about 400 to 435 nanometer, so that it helps in greater depth of resin penetration, okay, when compared to the UV light. So when attempting to remove an hard brittle material like amalgam, what would you prefer a bar with it? Zero Rake angle? No, it won't cut at all. Positive? No, it will cause scraping action. Negative? Yes. Negative helps in efficiently removing the tooth structure. Okay. The negative, what is negative rake angle? If you see the rake face is ahead of the radius, then it gives a negative rake angle. Usually the carbide bars used for cutting the tooth structure helps generally to slightly have this negative rake angle. Okay. Next, in modified class 3 cavity restoration, the retention is mainly obtained by, see, in composite restoration, no retentive feature are given except for the bevels. The bevels are appropriate for the composite restoration, which are placed at the margins. So we are not going to the slot, we are not going to retention point or the pin. We're directly going to the acid etching or the composite restoration to give an appropriate restoration. Next is that the photopolymerization stress buildup can be reduced by high density curing. No, we have a certain amount of limit for density of curing so that it will prevent the polymerization shrinkage. So the high density curing is a wrong option. Next is a soft start polymerization. Yes, soft start polymerization could be the answer. Now we'll see the other options too. Low density curing, no, not very low. Short exposure time, no. We have appropriate limitations for these two, so these can be eliminated. So what is soft start polymerization? If suppose the curing begins with a low intensity and finishes with a high intensity, that is the soft start polymerization. That is initial slow polymerization and high stress relaxation time. What is more appropriate to reduce the polymerization shrinkage is the high stress relaxation time. So the polymerization shrinkage can be reduced by this. If you see the soft start polymerization in this, we have three other techniques too. That is the rampant curing, staged curing, and the pulse delayed curing. Okay. Next is the what is the blade width of the cutting instrument with the following instrument formula. Okay, in that we have number 10, 85, 8, and 14. In this, we have to find about this blade width. Blade width is that, what is blade width? The cutting instrument of the blade width is that about 1/10 of the millimeter. And the blade, the second number indicates the cutting edge angle. That is the primary cutting edge angle, which is centigrade 85. Next, third number is the blade length. Okay, this is the blade length, which is about 8 mm kind of thing. Whereas the fourth number is the blade angle, which is 14 centigrade. Okay, and this, so appropriate answer is the 10 mm, which indicates the first number, that is the blade width of the cutting instrument. Next question we'll see is that the type 1 enamel etching pattern is. So you should know the enamel etching pattern histopathologically to answer this. So depending upon the concentration of the phosphoric acid, it then the removal of the smear layer about 10 microns of enamel to expose these prisms of the enamel rods, we have divided into various numbers. In that, the type 1 is that selective dissolution of the enamel rods cores. Here in the picture, you can see the center is dissolved, whereas periphery is not. That is a type 1. If suppose if you see the dissolution of the peripheral cores rather than the center, then it causes type 2 etching pattern. Okay. Next is, which of the following agents is called whitening agent? Whitening precipitated chalk. No. Iron oxide, it is red abrasive, so this option can be eliminated. Okay. And the chromium oxide, yes, it's a whitening agent. And the Raj, no. Raj is again not the option. It is a little brown in color. So you should know the finishing and polishing agents for this to answer. Okay, chromium oxide is a polishing agent for the stainless steel and it is white in color. Next question is that diagonodent uses what for detecting the caries? Sound wave? No. The sound wave is not the appropriate answer because if you see the principle of caries detection of this diagonodent, it works by the laser fluorescence. Okay, laser fluorescence, then it passes through this acoustic signal, then it will give us the digital display. Okay, and it uses the visible red diode laser to detect the carious lesions. So the appropriate answer is that laser. Next question is that the IRM or intermediate restorative material will interfere with the subsequent placement of the resin filling. This is because the IRM is a form of the zinc oxide eugenol. If you observe these two statements, both the statement and the reason are correct and related. True. Actually, these two statements are true. So, here only we got our answer. So ZOE is low strength base used as a temporary filling in the event that patient will return at a later date for semi-permanent restoration. The powder is mainly the zinc oxide and the liquid is the eugenol with olive oil as a plasticizer. So the zinc oxide eugenol is not very durable and wears off away after just a few weeks. But it works to relieve the pain and calm the nerve and protect the tooth. Okay. So the IRM will interfere with the subsequent placement of resin filling because it is a form of steroid. The reverse bevel is given for. So we should know first what is reverse bevel and what is its function to answer this. It is placed on the dentinal portion of the cervical wall towards the axogingival line angle, and the gingival bevel will prevent the tipping moments, and it is placed in three planes. You can see, observe these three planes here in the picture. So the reverse bevel is used for lap sliding fit of the cast restoration. Next question is this: the sprue pin is attached to the posterior teeth in the cusp tip. Not usually. Contact area, absolutely not. Marginal ridge, yes. And the proximal surface, no. Because the sprue is usually attached to the bulkiest non-critical part of the pattern, away from the margins and the occlusal contacts. Normally, the largest non-functional cusp is used, and the functional cusps such as the buccal cusps of the mandibular posterior teeth and the lingual cusps of the maxillary posterior teeth are avoided. Next question is that if the C factor increases for composite, the polymerization shrinkage, yeah, if you see what is C factor, that is, it is a ratio between the bonded with that of unbonded. Okay. As the C factor increases, the polymerization shrinkage increases. Because higher the C factor, greater is the bond disruption due to the polymerization shrinkage. Okay. Next is the bonded amalgam systems are used to prove what? Yeah, aesthetics true, biocompatibility true. To strengthen the remaining tooth structure, yes. So among these, all the above would be the answer because they're useful for the large lesions in the posterior teeth as well as for the teeth with the low gingival occlusal height. This helps in increasing the strength of the remaining tooth structure and helps in increased resistance. Okay. Next question we'll see is that pulp vitality tests rely on integration of. If you see, the pulp vitality depends upon the blood flow, and many vitality tests are used to test the nerve supply. So the test is a sensory nerve function. So the answer would be absolutely the afferent nerve fibers. Okay. Next question we'll see is that the toothache relieved with the cold water indicates what? Acute pulpitis, arterial hyperemia, irreversible pulpitis, and the venous hyperemia. If you see, in case of the severe pain of irreversible pulpitis, there is a relief of pain with an application of the cold as it reduces the intrapulpal pressure by the vasoconstriction. It also helps in alleviating the pain brought by the hot or the warm stimuli. So the option would be then irreversible pulpitis. So the infected dentin shows both the organic and the inorganic components in the reversible form or the irreversible form. We should not get confused between these two. If you see, the infected dentin has the bacteria and the collagen which is irreversibly denatured. The affected dentin can be repaired because of its reversible denaturability, whereas the infected dentin is irreversibly denatured. That's the reason it is not repaired. It has to be removed and replaced. Okay. Next question is the given image in the picture shows. If you see in this picture, it has a crown. Okay, it has the radicular part little. So will it become the post and core? No, post and core will not give the entire crown. Okay, core and core, absolutely not. And the endocrown or the amalgam core? Amalgam core, we cannot see anything amalgam here. So the answer would be the endocrown, because in the recent years, it is a newer concept, that is the rehabilitation of these endodontically treated molar teeth helps in it will lead to the loss of the mechanical characteristics. So they become this fragile and in relation with the removal of the pulp and the surrounding dentin tissues. So it is an good alternative for restoring the molars, having the large coronal destruction and presenting with the endodontic treatment difficulties. Therefore, they are helpful for replacing the single crowns with intraradicular retention. This is the important point for this. Next is the resin modified GIC is designed to rapid setting to minimize cement acidity, allowing early finishing, or to reduce the rate of fluoride release. No, they will not reduce the release of fluoride. Reduce the cost of the product. No, they are little costly when compared to the conventional GIC. Change the translucency of the products. No. So the answer would be they are used to provide the rapid setting to minimize the cement acidity because of the presence of the BIS GMA and Tech DMA added to the GIC and the HEMA to the liquid. So they're usually light cured and less technique sensitive and may be finished at the time of placement. So these properties are similar to the and superior to the GIC, which are recommended for the class 5 restorations. Most often refer pain to the temporal region, but there are few teeth, such as the maxillary canines, maxillary premolars, which refer pain to the ear. So in this, if you see the maxillary second premolars and the mandibular molars refer pain to the ear. If you see the patients also, they complain the pain of ear, then you should be subjecting about the maxillary second premolars and the mandibular molars, because the cranial nerve 7, 9, 10 endings are widely distributed within the subnucleus cordialis of cranial nerve 5, which refer mainly to the ear. Okay. That's the reason the maxillary second premolars and the mandibular molars are refer pain to the ear. Next question is the creep is a process that happens over time. True. And that gradually increases the marginal integrity of the amalgam restoration. Here you have to think. The creep will always cause the marginal fracture but not increase the marginal integrity of the amalgam. So the second statement is false. So for this, what is creep is that it is a time-dependent deformation of the strain relaxation. So it is a deformation with the time in response to the constant stress. So it is one of the cause for the marginal fracture of the amalgam restorations. Okay. What does Vitrimer is? It is a resin modified GIC. It is a commercial preparation of the resin modified GIC, and it has small additions of this light cure resin and exhibit the properties of the two with some characteristics superior to the conventional GIC materials. So you should know the commercial names also to answer this. The electric pulp testing for an immature tooth is, see, the immature tooth will not have completely formed root. So it cannot give positive, it cannot give negative. So false positive and false negative, you will get confused. In that, the appropriate answer would be the false negative because of improperly like formed pulp but not completely formed root. So false negative can also be seen in the recently erupted teeth and the recently traumatized tooth, or with the teeth with an extensive restorations and patients with the sedative drugs and the pulp stones. Okay. So it should be appropriate before answering this. All the following are true about the GIC cements except for the one. Which one is the exception? They release the fluoride, yes. They release the fluoride. They have this good chemical addition, yes. And the thermal expansion similar to the tooth, yes. High solubility after the initial setting. This is the false statement because they have the low solubility when even compared to the zinc phosphates. And the GICs are the hybrids of the silicate and the polycarboxylate cements, which are designed to combine the fluoride releasing properties of the silicate particles with the chemically adhesive, and they are more biocompatible characteristics of the polyacrylic acid matrix compared to the extremely acidic matrix of the silicate cement. There's a reason this is having the low solubility. Okay. Most characteristic feature of the acute inflammation is vasoconstriction, no. Stasis, no. Dilatation and increased vascular permeability, yes. It has the hallmark feature of the acute inflammation with increased vascular permeability leading to the protein-rich fluid into the extravascular tissue. And this vascular stasis and the margination of the leukocytes are also seen in the acute inflammation, which is the hallmark of the acute inflammation, which is the increased vascular permeability. The pin used in the pin restoration of the root canal treated is, that is a self-threaded pin, cemented pin, frictional pin. You may get confused between the self-threaded and the cemented pins. And this, the appropriate answer would be the cemented pins because they have the less number of fracture, whereas when compared to the self-threaded, and they can be exactly countered before the restor insertion, and they can be cemented using the zinc phosphate and the polycarboxylate. Okay, and the thistle tube appearance of the pulp chamber is a feature of, okay, thistle tube appearance is shown with normal roots containing the larger pulp with abnormal extensions towards the roots. That's the reason they are called as thistle tube shaped on the dental radiograph. And that's the reason the answer would be the coronal dentin dysplasia. Next question is that, which is the moisture active adhesive? The cyanoacrylate being the low viscosity resins, they're used as a moisture active adhesives. They're mainly used as a dye hardness or the gypsum. Okay. Next, we'll see the other questions such as the chair side CAD/CAM restorations requires elastomeric impression, dual impression, optical, or the Pendex. See, CAD/CAM restorations are 3D fabrication, helps in 3D fabrication. So they require the optimal or the optical impression, that is the dentist after preparing the tooth, they uses the scanning device to collect the information of this. So this step is termed as a optical impression step. Okay. The elective endodontic treatment is contraindicated. If you see in endodontics, no case is contraindicated until and unless it's very primarily involved with the cardiac history of the patient. If you see, until the 6 months from the day of myocardial infarction, the recent MI is contraindicated even in the endodontic treatment. Okay. Next is the dentin desensitizing agents that act by precipitating the proteins in the dentinal tubular fluid is. The options we have is the strontium chloride, potassium oxalate, fluoride, and the hydroxyl ethyl and the methacrylate. So the desensitization of the interdental nerves or the inhibition or prevention of the transmission of the stimulus itself. So this occurs by the occlusion of the dentinal tubules or the precipitation of the proteins. That is by the silver nitrate, zinc chloride, and the strontium chloride. In this, we have an option of strontium chloride, then we choose the strontium chloride for the desensitizing agents by precipitation of proteins. Next question we deal with is the greatest portion of the tooth. This is the easiest question ever. That is the enamel and dentin. In this, among this, the dentin would be an appropriate answer because of its high inorganic and the organic content when compared to the enamel. Next is the most important criteria in using the irrigating solutions is. We may get confused between the volume of irrigation or the concentration of the irrigation. Why the volume is more important when compared to the concentration is because the frequent replenishment during the cleaning and shaping will improve the flushing action to remove the debris and the killing bacteria, and also helps in the dissolution of the organic debris. So the volume is more important when compared to the concentration of the irrigant. The best method to sterilize the absorbent point is, it may be the autoclaving, chemical sterilizer. No, these two are not because they get soluble. Next is that glass bead sterilizer, the salt sterilizer. Yes, they can be used for this. Or sterilizing by passing through the ethanol film. No, they cannot be passed through the ethanol film. So the absorbent points, broaches, and the files and other root canal instruments are sterilized immediately before use in the hot salt sterilizer. And this glass bead sterilizer will consist of the hot glass in the glass or the glass beads has a medium for the dry heat sterilization, which employed for about 218 degrees centigrade to the 246 degrees centigrade. Identify this instrument. What is this instrument is it a K-flex file? No. Piezo reamer? No. H file. Yeah, it is a little similar to the H file, but it is not an H file. It is a lentillo spiral which is used for the placement of the sealer before the obturation. And it has to be operated in a clockwise in the hand piece and started or stopped outside the root canal. Next is the treatment of choice in the fully calcified asymptomatic teeth. Here they are mentioning calcified, but it is asymptomatic. Okay, it is yellow in color, discoloration due to the greater thickness of the dentin deposition. But it's we observe the yellow discoloration in the patient's mouth. If the patient is so concerned about the discoloration, then we go for the appropriate therapy. But if it is asymptomatic and the patient does not have any symptoms, then no treatment is appropriate. The endosealer contain the polyketone E's. For this, you should know the compositions of each sealer to answer this. So the polyketone compound containing the vinyl polymers mixed with the zinc oxide and the bismuth phosphate, which acts like a binding agent between the gutta-percha and the canal wall, helps in the impervious seal by serving the filler for canal irregularities and also the minor spaces between the root canal and the core material. So the root canal sealers used as the main materials in the obturation of the root canal systems, which shows a positive root canal treatment. Next is the primary gutta-percha cone must fill the canal wall tightly in the. See, here we may get confused with the entire canal, but the appropriate answer is the apical third, because the apical third seal is perfect and impervious, then it will not lead to the periapical inflammation later. So the three-dimensional obturation with the apical third has to be done to fill all these axillary canals so that it will give a fluid tight obturation. Next question, the home bleach is also called as. The home bleach is walking bleach because patient with the help of this home bleach, with the help of the trays filled with the home bleach technique solution, they'll be going to the home. In the home, they get treated with this help of the trays. That's the reason it's also known as the walking bleach or the home bleach. Whereas the thermocatalytic bleach is the in-office technique, and the power bleach is also done in the office, but not the walking bleach. It can be done in the home also. And home bleach or the walking bleach will have the 30% superoxole by volume and the mixture of sodium perborate, and the superoxole is used. The single sitting RCT is done on the teeth that is asymptomatic, single rooted, or the multi rooted, or the non-vital. Non-vital, we cannot go until and unless we see the case. If it is abscess case, no, it cannot be done in a single sitting. So either it is a single rooted or multi rooted, it has to be asymptomatic to go for the single sitting RCT. So it is usually done in the vital asymptomatic teeth that are traumatized anterior teeth with a large exposed pulp where the necrosis is anticipated. This is followed by the permanent restoration. Which of the following receptors has the ability to resist the local anesthetic action in the hot tooth? You should see hot tooth mechanism for this. Here we may get confused between the TTX and the TTXR. So the TTXR sodium channels are more resistant to the local anesthetic action and an increased in the irreversible pulpitis. So the tetrodotoxin resistant strain is an appropriate answer for the hot tooth. What is untrue about the minor diameter is? If you see, the minor diameter may coincide with the DCJ. True, it is at the constriction of the apical foramen. No, the minor diameter is always not at the apical foramen. It may or may not coincide with the CDJ, and the apical constriction or the minor diameter is 1 to 2 mm short of the apical foramen, but not exactly at the constriction. So this is the untrue about the apical or the minor diameter. This is the brief about the minor diameter.